And just a reminder of our breaking news this morning. The Nobel laureate and anti-apartheid activist Archbishop Desmond Tutu has died at the age of 90. A statement has been issued on behalf of the Tutu family. It says that in the late 1990s, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, with which he lived for the past 23 years. In recent years, he was hospitalized on several occasions to treat infections associated with his cancer treatment. And ultimately, at the age of 90, he died peacefully at the Oasis Frail Care Centre in Cape Town this morning. Courageous, gracious, and concerned for the welfare of others to the very end. That's a statement on behalf of the Tutu family. And just to tell you again, Desmond Tutu, South Africa's Nobel Peace Prize winning activist. He was an activist for racial justice, LGBT rights. He was also the retired Anglican Archbishop of Cape Town, and he has died this morning in Cape Town. It was announced by the South African President, Cyril Ramaphosa. He was an uncompromising foe of apartheid, which, of course, was South Africa's brutal regime of oppression against the black majority, and he worked tirelessly, non-violently, for its downfall. He was buoyant, he was indeed blunt-spoken. He was a clergyman and he used his pulpit. He was the first black bishop of Johannesburg and later, as I said, the Archbishop of Cape Town. So he used his pulpit and frequent public demonstrations to really galvanise public opinion against racial inequality, both at home in South Africa and, of course, globally. He was a global figure. Archbishop Desmond Tutu has died this morning in Cape Town at the age of 90. Let's speak to Tebe Kalafeng. He's the CEO and founder of Brand Africa. Tebe, thank you so much for talking to us. Just tell us what the Archbishop meant for South Africa.
For many of us growing up in apartheid South Africa in the 70s and for many prior to that, he was the ultimate embodiment of the South African resistance. But more than anything else, he represented the goodness of humanity. He was resilient in his opposition to apartheid, but most importantly, he was a soldier that we needed, that apartheid government couldn't touch because he was a man of the cloth.
We've got a picture, Tebe, of you actually meeting the Archbishop. I think we can get that up. But just tell us, what was he like? There you go. What was he like as a person? What was it like being in his presence?
He was... there's a few of them. There is Mandela, there is Desmond Tutu. When you were in their presence, you felt that you were transcended from the ordinary human being. He was very calm and kind. He was very warm. And to us, that is probably the magic of what differentiated him from many of the struggle heroes. He was not angry. He was principled. So in his presence, he was just a magnanimous human being to be around and very warm and very welcoming. And that picture you showed, it was quite late in his years. I think he was in his 80s already then, and he was retired then. But even then, you were just transformed when you were in his presence, because you felt that you're in the company of somebody greater, somebody above many of us.
What has he been doing since he retired?
Well, he's been retired for many, many years now, and I think he spent a lot of time with his beloved wife, Leah, and he tried to, as much as possible, to stay away from the everyday fray of South Africa, because as you perhaps know very well, that he was not well from with cancer, so he needed time to rest. This is the man who had dedicated his life's work, his lifetime to the struggle. He was out in the streets. He was representing the world. But I think what was so important about him as well is that even post his retirement, when something went against what South Africa represented or should have represented, whether it is having to criticize a ruling party of which he was a great supporter, he would come out even during his retirement to make a statement against that. When something that is the embodiment of who we are was being contradicted, he would come out of retirement to ensure that we remember why we've got here and how we got here and why we are, and the humanity and the goodness of humanity.
It's interesting, we're just playing pictures of all the people he's met, and it's extraordinary, isn't it? Yes, he was a huge figure within South Africa, but the fact that globally he had such a following and just so many people listened when the Archbishop spoke.
Because he was one of those few people who was not who never ever one took advantage of his position in a negative way, but everybody else felt that by being around him, they were also contributing to a greater good by supporting him. Yes, he loved children, he loved people, whether it's a celebrity or anybody else, everybody wanted to be like him. The same way that he had that similar Nelson Mandela magic. Of course, he was with us much longer than Nelson Mandela, because even as a young priest, he was always out there. So his name and his image was already very global, and he never ever changed. I think what's important about him is that he never wavered, he never changed, and the times never changed him. He remained that which was a thorn on the side of apartheid, but not only just apartheid. He was a thorn on the side of everyone who contradicted the goodness of humanity.
That's what I was just about to ask, because once apartheid fell and the new South Africa was born, he was also a huge critic of corruption, wasn't he?
He was. He would stand up against the ruling party for anything against corruption. He would stand up against the ruling party for when for which he fought against.
Okay, Tebe, thank you so much. Thanks a lot for talking to us. Where exactly in South Africa are you, actually?
Well, right now I'm in Lagos. I just landed in Lagos. So I'm not even in South Africa.
Tebe, he was a Pan-African, so I think it's fitting. Oh, there you are, Tebe. Thank you so much for talking to us on a very sad day, not only for South Africa, but for the world.
Indeed, I appreciate you, and may his soul rest in peace. He's a good man who showed that how good humanity can be and how principled one should be when you're fighting for a good cause. He has fought a good race.
Indeed. Tebe, thank you.